Hello and welcome to Langgold English. Today, you're not just going to hear a story, you're going to feel it, live it, learn from it. From a young businessman running nightclubs and car dealerships to the most popular president in Latin America and perhaps the most controversial, you will learn how to transform challenges into opportunities, how to break traditional rules, and how to create your own path when everyone says it's impossible. How to speak and understand English better through powerful storytelling. This is our mission today. This is not just a story, it's a masterclass in political transformation, and your English will get better with every word.
Part 1. The Businessman with Big Dreams. When everyone expected nothing, he created everything. Born on July 24, 1981, in San Salvador, El Salvador, Nayib Bukele grew up in a family that understood both business and struggle. His father, Armando Bukele Katan, was a successful businessman and imam who had built companies in textiles, media, commerce, and pharmaceuticals. But here's what makes this story fascinating. While most young people his age were just thinking about college parties, Bukele was already leading a company at the age of 18. Can you imagine that pressure? Can you feel that responsibility? He started studying law at Central American University, but made a life-changing decision. He dropped out to work at his father's public relations firm. Many people called him crazy. Why leave university? They asked. But Bukele saw something different. He saw opportunity where others saw risk. In 1999, at just 18 years old, he established his own advertising company. He also ran a nightclub, managed a Yamaha dealership, and built a political advertising firm. Picture this: a teenager managing multiple businesses while his friends were worried about exam results. But this wasn't just about money. This was about learning. Every business taught him something new. The nightclub taught him about people and entertainment. The car dealership taught him about sales and customer service. The advertising company taught him about communication and persuasion. The lesson for you: don't wait for the perfect moment to start something. Bukele didn't wait until he was 30 or 40. He started when he was ready to learn, ready to fail, ready to grow. Your age is not your limitation. Your fear is.
Part 2. The Unlikely Politician. From advertising campaigns to political campaigns. For years, Bukele's companies created advertising campaigns for the Farabundo Marti National Liberation Front, a left-wing political party. He was behind the scenes, making others look good, helping others win elections. But something was burning inside him. He was watching politicians make promises they couldn't keep, watching leaders who didn't understand real change. Then, in 2011,
he made a decision that shocked everyone. It was time to jump into politics himself. He decided to run for mayor of Nuevo Cuscatlán, a small town that was looking for a candidate. Think about this moment. Here was a successful businessman, making good money, living comfortably. Why risk everything for politics? Why enter a game where failure is public and criticism is constant? In 2012, he won the mayoral election in Nuevo Cuscatlán. But this wasn't just any victory. This was a laboratory. This small town became his testing ground for ideas that would later transform an entire country. He implemented popular projects for urban infrastructure, revitalization of the city center, and an extensive employment scheme, while avoiding initiatives that might prove controversial. He was learning the delicate balance of politics, how to create change without creating enemies. But then came the moment that defined his character. He took on his own party, alleging corruption in the FMLN-led government. Imagine that courage. He was willing to fight his own political family when he saw they were wrong. In 2015, he became mayor of San Salvador, the capital city, from a small town to the biggest city in the country. But this success came with a price. The lesson for you: real leaders don't just follow the crowd. They're willing to stand alone when necessary. Bukele could have stayed quiet, stayed comfortable. Instead, he chose integrity over safety. That's what separates average people from extraordinary ones. Part 3. The Rebel Who Broke the System. When the system rejects you, create your own system. In 2017, something dramatic happened. Bukele left his political party. Can you imagine this moment? After years of building relationships, after winning elections under their banner, he walked away. Why? Because he realized something powerful. You cannot create new solutions with old thinking. The traditional political parties, both left and right, had failed El Salvador for decades. Both had competed for years, with each winning elections, but neither solving the country's fundamental problems. El Salvador in 2018 was a country in crisis. It had one of the highest murder rates in the world. Gang violence controlled entire neighborhoods. Young people had no hope, no future. Traditional politicians offered the same old promises with the same old failures. And then came June 1, 2019. Nayib Bukele was inaugurated as the 81st president of El Salvador. He was 37 years old. Think about that, 37. While most people his age are still figuring out their careers, he became the leader of an entire nation. The Salvadoran people elected President Bukele on the promise to provide improved and accessible education and health care to all Salvadorans. But he promised something more. He promised to break the cycle of traditional politics. And then the real test came: COVID-19. He oversaw El Salvador's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, making decisions that were bold, sometimes controversial, but always focused on protecting his people. But perhaps his most audacious move was yet to come. He experimented with classifying Bitcoin as a national legal tender.
Bukele passed a law in 2021 that made Bitcoin legal tender in El Salvador. The world called him crazy. Financial experts said it was impossible. But Bukele saw the future while others were stuck in the past. The lesson for you? Sometimes you have to leave what's comfortable to find what's extraordinary. Bukele could have stayed in his party, played it safe, followed the rules. Instead, he chose to write his own rules. That's what visionaries do. Part 4. The controversial leader who changed everything. From world's most dangerous country to safest in Latin America. This is where the story becomes truly remarkable and truly controversial. His iron-fisted crackdown on crime in the country that was once the most violent nation in the Western Hemisphere led to the arrest and detention of around 87,000 people. Picture this transformation. El Salvador went from being one of the most dangerous countries in the world to one of the safest in Latin America. Born to a wealthy family of Palestinian ancestry, Bukele has won supporters in El Salvador due to his widespread crackdown on the nation's powerful criminal gangs with an iron fist policy. But here's what makes this story complex. He has unabashedly styled himself as the world's coolest dictator and the country's philosopher king. The leader who once called himself the world's coolest dictator now boasts of being his country's philosopher king. Critics around the world condemned his methods. Critics say he has also trampled constitutional rights and civil liberties. Since assuming the presidency on June 1, 2019, Nayib Bukele has tightened his grip on power at the expense of eroding democracy and rule of law. But here's the paradox that makes this story so fascinating. Before he became arguably the most popular head of state in the world, Nayib Bukele was an ad man. The same skills that made him successful in advertising, understanding people's desires, creating compelling narratives, communicating directly, made him incredibly popular as a president. Nayib Bukele declared himself the winner of El Salvador's 2024 presidential election before the official results were declared. Polls predicted his victory in a landslide. El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, celebrated a landslide electoral victory on Feb 4, far outstripping his nearest competitor. The opposition was pulverized, Bukele told jubilant crowds. This victory was historic for another reason. Bukele is the incumbent president and was just re-elected even though the Salvadorian constitution forbids a president from being immediately re-elected. Once again, he broke the rules that others said were unbreakable. In reply to critics who warn that El Salvador is moving towards authoritarianism, he proclaimed, "We are not substituting democracy because El Salvador has never had democracy." The lesson for you? Real change is never comfortable for everyone. Bukele's story shows us that sometimes transformation requires breaking old systems to build new ones. The question isn't whether people will criticize you. They will. The question is whether you're willing to accept that criticism to create something better. If you watched this entire video, I want you to know something very important. You are not your circumstances. You are not your background. You are not the limitations others place on you. You are Nayib Bukele, someone who sees opportunities where others see obstacles. Someone who creates solutions where others see problems. From Bukele's story, we learn 3 universal lessons. First, age and traditional paths are not requirements for success. Vision and courage are. Second, sometimes you must leave what's comfortable to find what's extraordinary. Third, real transformation always comes with criticism, but that doesn't make it wrong. From today, I want you to say, I am not bound by other people's rules. I will create my own path, solve my own problems, and build my own future. If this story inspired you, if you learned something new about English and about life, subscribe to our channel. Like this video if Bukele's journey reminded you that extraordinary people don't follow ordinary paths. Comment below and tell us, what rule are you ready to break to create your own success? Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their background is not their destiny. You are not your past. You are your potential. You are not your limitations. You are your possibilities. You are not what others expect you to be. You are what you choose to become. Transform your English. Transform your thinking. Transform your life. This is Lingold English, and remember, every word you learn is a step toward the person you're becoming.